prototypes, so with a solution that they could test. So on the 5th day of the design sprint, we already conducted user labs. We had these prototypes, and then we took it from there to improve the design with more testing, both qualitative and quantitative tests. So what happened is that now we have a new redesigned booking funnel for the mobile web checkout, which is, we believe, to be more neat, more clean, and more user-friendly. And we testing this in a few countries, and we already see that it did increase our CVR. So cool. Now that I presented 3 use cases, what are we doing now to try and reach the next stage? So what are our efforts to consolidate our maturity? As Luky and Carolina already mentioned, we started conducting field studies, and we're really pushing to do more ethnographic research, so to do more research about how users behave in their natural environment, so to try and uncover new things. This is really important because we want to push for for innovation, especially now that we are expanding to different markets. We are in the US now, we're expanding to Russia, so we really want to do this type of more longitudinal studies. We also want to be more proactive because until not long ago, we had other teams coming to us asking us to test things. Now we want to be the ones that go to them and say, oh, we should research this. So come up with our own research proposals. Then we also have this, it's still on a concept phase, but we want to create a new platform for sharing our results. So to share our findings and to make our findings more accessible and findable by everyone in the company. So this would not just be for our team, but also for other teams that do research, for market research or analytics, and anyone should be able to look to find what they're looking for. And as already been mentioned, democratizing research has been really important for us, especially in the past couple of weeks. We conducted a lot of workshops. We tried to get everyone involved in conducting research so they can be more autonomous. Our goal would be to let stakeholders, even developers, designers, conduct their own research, and then maybe just come to us for feedback, or if they have some really big topic that they want us to help with. And finally, exchanging ideas with researcher professionals. So this is why you guys are here. We wanted to talk to you and to get to know best practices, like how do you do research, to exchange feedback and whatever. That said, thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, please do so. You can add us on LinkedIn, or you can contact us via email. We also have a shared email address, userlab@flixbus.com. And if you have any questions, shoot them now. Oops. Maybe I will ask my team to come back on stage. And we have a microphone here if anyone wants to ask questions.
Okay, first one.
I thought that was a really great presentation. Thanks very much. Really inspiring. I love the fact that you guys are distributed between different product teams, so you're really embedded. As a team, when you're separated and distributed amongst the product teams, how do you stay aligned with each other? And also, if you're in a product team, kind of who's the final decision maker? Is it the product owner? Is it the UX team? How do you manage that kind of process?
Okay. So the first question was like, how do we align with each other, right?
Yeah.
So we have our Scrum ceremonies as well. So we have our how to say, like, alignment, like daily. Also, we have our weekly, and we have a Trello board when we discuss about what research that's happening in this quarter. And that is how we align with each other. And for the decision making, is that mainly it's the product owner. But as I presented before, we have this affinity map. After we conduct a usability study, we discuss the findings together, and everyone is kind of involved in this process, not only product owners and us, but also designers and other stakeholders. So we really collaborate in order to find the patterns of which way we should improve, what should we decide in order to improve, how will we prioritize. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Cool, thanks. So by collaborating early, everybody's kind of on the same page as you go.
Yeah, and also in addition to that, we also did a check-in with them every month, sometimes we also join the sprint review and we ask them, hey, what happened with the research that we did last time? How is how is it going? What is the next steps and stuff like that?
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
I can't see. Yeah, sure.
Okay, couple questions. First of all, I thought it was really interesting. Thank you very much. I guess, I don't know, everyone will say that. So a couple of questions. This is a very specific one, not so much about process, but I was interested in this one about choosing to include the ranking of the bus driver. I understand why customers might like that. How do your bus drivers feel about that? And how do you decide between, because I think there's maybe a bit of a shift now, moving away from user centricity towards thinking of a more ecological system. So sort of a question about how you came to decisions on how to weigh that.
Okay, so first of all, the feedback was not for the driver. Like, you don't leave feedback on the driver, leave feedback on the journey. So people could still have leave like bad feedback for the bus, but then still tip the driver because they helped them even though the journey was delayed. So it's their choice whether they want to tip or not. It just made more sense in the funnel, like when we ask them to leave this is something that already happens after they have a journey. We ask them to leave feedback. That's the moment where it makes sense for us to ask them to tip the driver. So they receive this notification on their phone. How was your trip? Do you want to leave feedback? Do you want to tip the driver? When it comes to collecting feedback from the drivers themselves about this feature, first of all, it's really difficult for us to get in touch with drivers. It's not that easy for us to talk to them. Somehow we struggle with that. What I didn't mention, I think, during the slides is that we managed to talk to one bus driver here in Germany. There was a bus partner and former bus driver. And then we talked to, in the US, we talked to a bus driver from a competitor company. So not FlixBus, but I'm not going to say which company, but another similar company. And again, we said that we saw that many people in the US, everyone is on the same board. They like this feature. They think it's great that they can receive tips. In Germany, we found out they might depend also on which part of Germany, because there are different tipping cultures even within Germany. And in general, we might have issues with bus drivers who are a bit older and not that tech savvy. But I think that we would still be able to have them use this feature if we roll it out and we explain them. We have more tools that we use to train our drivers, so this will be just a part of another set of applications that we develop for our drivers. Yeah.
I hate to do this, but two quick questions, if that's okay. One is, I'm quite interested in the tool that you've made for in-house use. Is it possible to take a look at the screens on that tool? Is that open? Is there some way to take a look at that tool?
We showed the remote testing tool,
You mean the remote testing tool?
No, you have the screen where you showed the different kinds of methodologies that people in your team can use. And I'd be quite interested to see how you had set up those tests. So it's just a question whether that's possible. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
And see
So many slides. Yes, it is user Zoom.
Exactly.
So this one, yeah.
Yeah.
We can showcase it later.
Okay, great. And one last question, I'm sorry, and then I'll pass it off. So when you're collecting qualitative data and you have large data sets, how, I don't know if you want to go into too much process on that, but how do you establish what that data actually means? You know, if you've got 20 users and you've collected, you've done these long semi-structured interviews with these people, and you translate all this text. How, once you've gotten that, what is your procedure for determining the meaning of that qualitative data?
So right after we conduct this type of research, like user lab, qualitative research, we set up that like poster with all the post-its, and we try to bring the findings as soon as possible so that they're still fresh in our memory, and to see, first of all, how often a finding occurs. If many users say the same thing or they struggle with the same thing, we already know that that's a bit more severe in terms of how likely it is that people will encounter the problem. Then we also looked at different types of ways to quantify the severity of a usability issue. So we try to see whether they actually find a way around the issue, if it is an issue. So I had one participant that was really struggling to get out of a situation in our app, and he asked me for help, and I was like, I want to see how you get out of it. So I want to see whether they manage to find a way around the problem, and if they don't, I already know that that's a big problem. Apart from that, want to add something else?
We also have the note. So during the session of the usability test, we have the note from the observers. So based on the notes, if we forgot something, we will have a look at the notes again and see if the notes have the similar patterns, and we try to collect the patterns. Let's say one usability problem, we just put it on the wall, and then we put it sticky dots, like a dots to quantify how many people said that. So let's say five out of 5 people, or 4 out of 5. So it helps us to prioritize as well. Do you want to add something?
Just that this platform of sharing that we are planning to do, that Pietro mentioned, is where we want to store all this data. Because now what we do, we store them in Google Drive, and we share them as soon as we have them together. We share it in Slack channels so everyone can access it. But the idea is really to have a platform where we can store all the data, the videos, the picture of the affinity posters, where everyone can access it. So they don't need to go to us to get this information. And the idea is also to do this together with the analytics team, the quantitative part. So we have there the qualitative and the quantitative, so everyone can access it per topic. So that's the utopia, but our idea for this platform. And I hope soon we can have this.
I think in general it helps us if we try to quantify our qualitative findings, just to communicate them to other people and to make them sound more scientific. Otherwise, they will just not listen to us.
So you mean like in terms of like counts, like 6 out of 9?
If we can do that, yes. But sometimes we just avoid doing that on purpose, because if we say, yeah, 1 out of 10 encounter this issue, then they will not take us seriously. Like, yeah, 1 out of 10, then it's not an issue. But it's usually our own judgment whether the issue is worth looking more into or not.
Actually, it's also the product owner decision or the team decision. If they see like 1 out of 10 people said this, but if they see it as a crucial problem, they would still take it as an account. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the very insightful presentation. I have 2 questions. So the first one is about tooling. Why did you decide to do user research, your own platform? Did you research like other tools?
You mean
to share the findings you just mentioned?
That's the first one, or do you want to?
That's the first one. First one first.
First one first.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is that we also have other topics that we would like to cover, not only for research, UX research, but also other topics like branding, marketing, and our design system. So we want to have all-in-one tool that could be useful for everything. So user research platform is one of them in this tool. So that's why we decided to use it ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, we use Confluence, but we use that, but it's not accessible for everyone in the company. So it's more for tech people. So not yeah.
So to share insights between you, you use Confluence and
Actually, I would say that within FlixTech, we mostly use Slack because we have our own public channel where we share UX findings and all the tech people go on Slack. But since we do research for other departments outside of tech, FlixTech, then some of them don't use Slack, they use Skype, and then we send the findings via email or we put them on our Confluence page, but nobody likes Confluence, so it's not that nobody uses it. So yeah, it would help to just have everything in one place.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, the second one, how do you deal with other findings, like for example, reviews in app stores, like quality findings? How do you include them in your research process? Or feedback from CRM team or marketing? Or
We have bi-weekly meetings with each of these teams. So we have a bi-weekly meeting with analytics team, a bi-weekly meeting with branding and marketing, and a bi-weekly meeting, with branding and bi-weekly meeting with marketing. Lots of meetings.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so that would be it. And then also, always on the Slack channel, there is also this analytics team. They have their own Slack channel, but they publish their own research. So we can always check. And sometimes they post research on our Slack channel, so we know when we need to align.
Okay.
There's a lot of alignment going on, to be honest.
Thank you.
No worries. Hi. So just a remark, I find it very impressive that a company with 1,000 people is moving actually 40 million people, and Deutsche Bahn with 200,000 employees is moving 140 million people. So maybe the reason is that you're doing the research, but I really doubt that you can scale research through democratizing it, because I've seen it in big corporates, and they trained thousands of people on design methodologies. And it was really tough for those people who went then into a meeting and having a very senior management guy in front of them telling them, okay, now let's try to think user-centric and use the post-its and do this and do that. So do you really scale through democratizing, or is it just a wish?
I try to answer that question. I think apart from that, it's one of another movement. It's our wish, of course, but we see that people are moving with us as well. But I can see your point that which in the later stage, I think it's very, very important to have someone in the management level to advocate for UX. So I would see someone could be hired in this management level to be able to have this mindset and also make decisions in the higher level. Yeah, so I think we are still missing that for now, but I see the need to have that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you can do a design sprint. How to democratize research in our organization.
Maybe.
It was a great presentation. Thanks a lot. I have a specific question about how you engage users to be part of your design sprint. So how do you recruit them? What's the experience to make sure they are part of your design sprint or user testing, and how do you fund it?
You mean how to recruit them?
Yeah, to make sure they are part of it. There is any incentives? I don't want to make an assumption. Just wondering, how do they feel comfortable to be part of your process?
So for the design sprint, we did it. Usually, we did two parts of research. First is the discovery. When we already know that there's a problem here that we want to solve, we did research before. We recruit customers based on the personas that we have, so we make sure that we recruit based on specific characteristics. And then we invite them for usability studies or whatever research it is. And afterwards, we conduct a design sprint. We bring their insights to the team. We present the findings. Hey, the user said this, this, and that, and then they use this finding. But also not only qualitative, also quantitative. So it's a combination of both. And then after the prototype is prepared, we recruit another participant. So we don't use the same participant. So we use different participants to avoid the bias, but with the same characteristics. So we invite again for another test after the prototype is ready. Yeah, okay.
Adding just to the process, we are kind of discover what's the best way to recruit. We've tried a few, so we are building a database with all the people that are interested in doing user labs here. We invite these people, we give them for 1 hour here, we give them a voucher for a FlixBus trip. And we try to make it as fun for them as it is for us. So this one with the prototype bus that we did here, it was super interesting because especially we needed to have people here from different ages, different backgrounds, and it was very interesting to see them making part of it and simulating and enjoying with us. And also after the focus group, after talking to them and involving them in the situation, we asked, would you guys be interested if when we really launch this check-in machine that you are using here, would you be interested, for example, in going on a trip as how they call it, like blind, when the people don't know that you are doing research. Would you be interested in going in this bus and also paying attention on how other users are using this machine? And they were super interested in it. How? Secret? Mystery check, yeah, sorry. So I think we like to involve these people. Of course, they come here because they also want to drive FlixBus for free. So, but I feel that they are really involved and they were super interested in this opportunity to be do a mystery check too. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we'll be here for more questions.
Yes, hi, thank you for your talk. I realized maybe you did a lot of research just for improvement, not really for new strategy or new company vision or more big picture or even the branding or even creating new features. So do you have any plan for better than, more than improvement plans?
Yeah, this is what we are aiming for. This is what we want to push now. So as I mentioned, more field studies, more ethnographic research, just to start identifying problems and then build our future research on the problems. So not evaluate solutions, but try to come up with innovative ways to bring the FlixBus experience further. So I mean, we started already with field studies in the US. Luky conducted one last month. Was it 2 months ago? A month ago. And this was kind of our first field trip that we did for research purposes. But we are planning more already. We have some plans in different countries, yes.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you very much for the input. I think you all heard a lot about barriers and possible solutions, very creative solutions, by the way. How, yeah, developing the research practice at FlixBus, and we actually want you to get active now, because we don't want you to leave this meetup empty-handed. So we prepared a little exercise for you where you can reflect upon your organization's UX maturity and your #1 barrier, which hinders you to reach the next stage. And then we want want to tap in the swarm intelligence of your group and find possible solutions for your identified barrier. So we've prepared 4 working stations. So number 1 is here, I think 2, 3, 4 is there. You've got a moderator with you on the side. Find a group with a maximum of 8 people. Go into the group where you don't know every single person. The moderator will explain you step by step what you have to do. Most important thing is that you don't leave and that you pick one of these workstations. It will be super quick, maybe 20, 25 minutes max, and then there's going to be networking. So go find a group with a maximum of 8 people, and then the moderator is going to explain it step by step. This instruction will stay here.